I'll now talk through what the Oxford TEEMUP professional development looks like. The first thing to emphasise is that it's a whole package of elements which together make up a 16-month training and mentoring programme. The primary emphasis is on enabling teachers to support learning by examining how early childhood mathematical understanding develops. With a focus on children's mathematical development, the professional development will support teachers to review and adapt their current practices, schemes and environment. It's not a one-size-fits-all scheme. Instead, it's a training package with the emphasis on giving teachers the knowledge and confidence to evaluate and improve their current situation. The professional development is equally applicable to schools who follow bought-in maths programmes, those who use school-defined lesson programmes, and those who follow mastery-based pedagogies. Whatever your situation, the fundamental knowledge and techniques of the TEEMUP professional development are equally applicable. The training will also pay particular attention to developing a long-lasting behaviour for learning approach, ensuring that children not only learn and understand mathematical concepts, but they also develop their individual self-regulation, enabling them to become effective lifelong problem solvers and resilient strategists. The final element to draw your attention to is that the programme covers the EYFS Key Stage 1 boundaries. It involves reception and Year 1 teachers, and so should ease transition and support continuous mathematical learning throughout the first 2 stages of primary school. The first element of the programme is a series of 9 face-to-face sessions over a 3-month period. Schools will be grouped by location into cohorts of approximately 12 schools, with 2 or 3 teachers from each school in the same cohort. Each cohort will have 2 consecutive full-day trainings to introduce key concepts and schools, then these will be followed by a further 7 afternoon workshops at fortnightly intervals. There'll also be a final half-day workshop a year later to exchange good practice. After the 3-month training programme, every school will be assigned a mentor. This mentor will be one of the trainers who delivered the initial training, so will already know the teachers within the cohort. The mentor will then work with the participating reception and Year 1 teachers to help them objectively review and improve their practice and their teaching environment. Mentors will visit the school and will also be on hand to answer queries and give remote support as needed. The professional development package also includes reflective scales, which teachers can use to constructively assess and improve their own teaching practice. These scales examine key areas of both mathematical teaching and behaviour for learning. They include examples, practical suggestions and tips for improvement. We'll also provide a set of materials for planning, implementing and assessment. This is a useful set of tools and techniques for assessing children's current mathematical understanding and identifying misconceptions and knowledge gaps. The final element of the professional development will be access to a dedicated online knowledge base. This will contain overviews of the core teaching, optional additional materials, and printable resources to use in the classroom and/or the home learning environment, together with an online discussion forum where cohorts can exchange ideas with each other and/or their mentors. I'll now hand over to Judy, who's going to run through the finer details of the study participation.
Thank you, Denise. Having looked at the professional development and what it entails, let me run through the commitment we will expect from schools who join us in the TEEMUP study. The first thing that I need to remind you about is that only schools allocated to the intervention group will receive the Oxford TEEMUP PD during the study timeframe. Schools allocated to the control group will be required to wait until after the study report is published. All schools will receive £750 as a thank you for their support, regardless of which group they're allocated to. As this is a research study, it is important that schools do everything they can to ensure continuity within the reception class and the Year 1 class participating in the study. Note that for multiform entry schools, the study will be of only one reception and only one Year 1 class, which we call the nominated classes. In order to have a controlled, continuous measurement of the effects of the teacher's participation in the PD, it is important that the nominated reception teacher and the nominated Year 1 teacher remain in the same class for the full 2 years of the study in all schools. And as we will be assessing the effects of the PD on the same children throughout the 2 years, we do ask that the children being assessed move from the nominated reception class into the nominated Year 1 class. The next requirement is to support the York Trials Unit assessors, who will be visiting your school for a day at the start and at the end of the study to individually assess the mathematical understanding of 15 to 20 children from each year group. The progress of the initial group of reception children will be tracked throughout the study to the end of their Year 1. Schools will also need to inform parents about the study. We will provide a letter for you to give to primary carers, which will include a form for them to complete should they wish their child to not be assessed. Schools will need to keep a record of any parental opt-outs. All schools will be required to collect assessment information at the start and end of each academic year. We've tried to keep this to the very minimum, and it should not prove a huge overhead to any school. There are 2 elements to this: short behavioural questionnaires for each of the 15 to 20 children being assessed, and a brief survey about teacher confidence and school practices. Finally, all schools will be required to sign a Memorandum of Understanding, which formally commits the school to participating in the study and agreeing to the above points. I hope that has given you a clear overview about the level of commitment expected from our TEEMUP partner schools. I will now talk you through the study timeline. Up to May this year, we will be accepting expressions of interest. From late May and through June, we will invite 100 schools to formally commit to the trial by signing the Memorandum of Understanding. If we are oversubscribed, we will select schools on a best fit basis by looking at school location and school profiles. Our aim is to get a balanced representation of schools across 4 geographic clusters within the east of England and its surrounds. Once schools are officially signed up, the study will begin in September 2021. The first step will be for schools to inform reception parents about the study and record any opt-outs. The school will need to share information with the York Trials Unit, who will randomly select 15 to 20 children from the reception class. These will be the children whose progress will be assessed. The school will then need to complete assessments for the reception children identified by the York Trials Unit. Trained assessors from the York Trials Unit will also visit the school and spend 5 to 10 minutes with each of the selected reception children. The assessment will be designed to be fun and sensitive to each child's needs, and assessors will be prepared to stop at any point should the child become upset. A TA or another familiar adult should be present throughout the assessment to monitor the child's well-being. Once the assessments have been submitted, randomisation of schools into intervention and control groups will be undertaken. This will not consider any assessment results, it will be purely random. Schools in the intervention group will be notified of their local training cohort and the dates, times and locations of training sessions. After randomisation, all schools will receive £250 as the first instalment of the £750 payment. Then, in January 2022, the 16-month PD programme will begin for schools in the intervention group, and those in the control group will continue with business as usual. The final requirement for the 2021-22 academic year will be for the reception teacher to complete the assessments for the same children they assessed at the start of reception, alongside the teacher survey. Then, at the start of the 2022-23 academic year, the parental opt-out and school assessment process will need to be repeated for the new reception children, with York identifying the second cohort of 15 to 20 children. York will not visit the school this time, only teacher assessments will be needed. When the PD programme has finished in summer 2023, teachers in both Year 1 and Reception will need to repeat the assessment process. And the York assessors will make their second visit to all schools and use the same tests on the same Reception and Year 1 children exactly as before. Once the assessment data has been gathered, schools will receive their second payments of £500. At this point, the study itself will be complete.